Hello everyone, welcome to this week's lesson. This week we're going to be learning a crucial thing because it really affects almost every speech you do, especially this next one that is coming up. So make sure you follow this. So we are learning how to speak to inform. Now, when we look to speak to inform, there are many different things that we can look at, but first, let us look at the definition of to inform. So to inform someone is to share information with others to enhance their knowledge, their ideas, their understanding on a concept, an idea you have, your beliefs, or anything like that. So that is how we are going to speak to inform. Now, in looking at types of informative speech, we want to look at 5 main types. So our first type is going to be an object. This could be a person, this could be a bag of chips, this could be anything basically that's an object that you can hold. Okay, objects is very vague, so you can use it very wide spectrum. Okay, now it could also be a procedure. So this goes with like when you have a fire procedure, or when you have something else, like when you go into the flight and they say, in case of emergency, look down. There are the ways to exit. If we have an airbag that needs something, or the airbag will pop down and put it on your mouth. Okay? Anything like that. Just a procedure. How to do something when a crisis happens, or any procedure like that. And then you can also do it over a person. So people. History books inform us about people all the time. You can do it about someone famous currently. You can do it about someone who's famous dead, or no one who's even famous. Just it could be your grandmother, or someone who's been dead for generations and we don't know who they are. A person. We're just informing them on that. Okay? And then the next one is event. So it can be an event from the past. So World War II could be an event, or Independence Day. Or it could be an event that's coming up, right? So we have a party that's coming up, and you're trying to tell people, hey, this weekend I'm hosting a party. We're going to do this. That's an event. And then finally is an idea. Shark Tank does this a lot. Shark Tank also does it over an object. But Shark Tank, they normally say, I have this idea, I really want to do this, I already have a patent on it, and this is my product. Which then that idea becomes an object. Now, can these overlap multiple ways? Yes. If you have an idea of an object that a person will use, that's fine. Or if you have an idea of an object that can be used during a procedure, yes, they can overlap. These are just our 5 main ideas, our 5 main umbrellas that overcompass a lot of different things, and these umbrellas can cross over into each other. Now, when we're looking at speaking to inform, we want to do 3 main things. We want to speak to be clear, interesting, and memorable. So we're going to break those down. First, let's be clear. You want to make sure you find a simple idea. This goes along with your thesis. What is your purpose? Today I'm going to inform you about a procedure. Today I'm going to inform you about Doritos. Or today I'm going to inform you about an Apple Watch. Something like that. The simple idea. It's not a lot. You're not going to say, today I'm going to inform you about every single person in the history of people. Okay? Too broad. Very simple. You want to keep it clean. You want to make sure that you're pacing yourself. You want to make sure that your main points, you remember how you have an outline and you overview your main points? Your main points each have a good idea in it. So you're pacing yourself, and you're not going to say all your great ideas for your first main point, and then main point 1, main point 2. You spread them out, and you want to kind of give equal share and equalness, equal weight to all the main points, and that's how you can pace yourself. And then again, you want to relate new information with old. We've talked about this before, but there's multiple ways that you can do this. So first of all, you can say, now as I previously said in the PowerPoint, or in this lesson, we said this. Some of you did that in your demonstration speech, and that was great. So you can do that. Another way you can relate new information with old is say, hey, here's this idea that we've been using. Now here's the new way how it's going to help it. So it doesn't have to be something you already talked about in your speech. It could be something like, there's this old way that we've been doing it, or there's this something that we learned in grade school. 2 + 2 is equal to 4. But what if we do 2 times 2? What does that do? So you're relating new information with old. You're building upon old information. Whether it's something that we should already know before, or it's something that you already taught us within that speech, maybe a minute ago. Okay? Now, making it interesting. You want to make sure that you relate to your listeners. We already talked about analyzing your audience, and you want to make sure that you're using those open-ended, those closed-ended questions, and you are relating to your listeners. Now, there are a couple different ways to do this in a way that we've already talked about. See, relating new information with old, is using soft and hard evidence. You want to use both. If you use both, you're going to be able to relate to multiple types of people. Again, my wife is all about the hard evidence. She likes the hard stats, the numbers. I'm very much about the stories. If you tell me a story, you're like, oh, that's great. So you want to make sure you have a mixture of soft and hard evidence. This goes along with your citations. You're going to want to source. Okay, so you're going to want to say, according to this, here's the stats. According to this, here's the story. My grandmother told me this story. Okay? And then you're going to establish a motive. Again, this is your thesis. I'm up here to do this. Why in the world are you up here? Is your motive interesting? And is it clear enough? If your thesis makes it sound interesting and clear, I'm going to be up here and tell you about this. Ooh, that sounds interesting. And I understand exactly what you're saying. Then it's interesting and it's clear. And then you want to make sure you use word pictures. Now, word pictures is describing different stories with using the 5 senses. So let's pause right now. Let me tell you a story. So this past weekend, I went over to my grandmother's house. And when I opened up her door, I just breathed in, and I could smell that smell. And I knew that she was cooking. Okay, pause. Now, when we were saying that, when I was telling you that story, what were you picturing? Hey, were you picturing opening the door to your grandmother's house, and then you were smelling the smell that she does? Now, does she make good chicken fried steak, or she might make some apple pie, or she might make the best lasagna? But whatever it is, yours is different from mine. Hey, when you go and you open the door, are you picturing opening a bluish door? Well, you might, but most of you might picture another door. My grandmother's is a bluish door. Okay, we have to kind of walk up the steps, go into the bluish door, and that's what I was picturing. And then I open it up, and my grandmother is a phenomenal baker. So I open it up, and normally I smell like apple dumplings or something like that. But you might be smelling something different. But when I was telling you about the smell it in, you were using those word pictures to picture it yourself. Don't get too detailed where you say, walk up the steps to your grandmother's house. Some people might not have steps. Open that blue door. Some people might not have a blue door. Some people might not have to open the door this way. They might slide it. Okay? Make sure that you're using these word pictures where people can use their 5 senses to be able to talk about items. So now as we continue, you want to use word pictures. And then you want to create a presentational aid. You're going to have to do this. Now realize your presentational aid, there's going to be a checklist on how to use PowerPoint, which we already went over, and we already did all of that. Okay, but use your presentational aid to help you. And then make sure that you're using bullet points and all of that stuff. Again, it is a visual aid. When you are citing, your citations are not at the end of your visual aid. Your citations are in the middle of it because you're saying it. You're going to be saying according to, found in. That's how you're informing us about all the items you found. If you just say, oh, and these are my references at the end, that's actually plagiarizing. You want to make sure that you're verbally citing. You will have to write your sources down at the end of your outline, but for your presentational aid, it literally is a visual aid. It's not there to cite, it's there for visual aid. By the way, when I cite and I have stuff, at the very bottom, like right down here, I might have really tiny the source right down here. So when I'm talking and I'm presenting, I see this text, and it might only be small enough for me to see, but it reminds me to say, oh, according to, okay, or all this information is found by this person, okay? That's just my thing. You don't have to do that, but I do that, okay? And then you're going to want to use humor, so let's kind of dive into that. Using humor if you can. When you're using humor, you want to make sure that it's appropriate for your listeners. Now, if you're in college, you can kind of talk about rated R movies and different things like that, but picture your listeners are 2nd graders. You're not going to go and talk to them about the latest Wolverine because it's not appropriate. You're not going to go in and talk to them about the party you went to last weekend. Not appropriate. If you're looking at your listeners, and let's say it's a professor who's in his mid-20s, you need to know that that professor is your listener, and you need to know how to talk to them. You're not going to be like, yo, dude, I forgot to do this. Okay? A lot of people do that to me. Know your listener. With that, you have to know with humor as well. If you're going to make a joke, you cannot make a sexual joke if you're presenting to 2nd graders. So know your listeners. Know what they can do. I just saw this thing on Facebook, and it was saying like before, he's not Iron Man, he's Iron Man's not a male or something like that. He's not Iron Man, he's FE Man, okay? Because FE stands for iron. Now, I got it kind of quickly, but it took me a little bit. If you're not a chemist or someone who knows chemistry, you don't know that. So that joke is going to fall flat. Know your audience, okay? Now, use the humor to get a point. You don't want to just use humor to make a laugh. You don't want to point someone out and say, oh, ho, ho, this is funny. It has to relate to your presentation. It has to relate to your speech. You just randomly are just talking, and then all of a sudden, knock, knock, who's there? Banana. Banana who? Okay? Then you're not going to be able to keep their audience's attention, and it's not going to relate, and it's going to kind of get them off track. Now, you want to make sure yourself the butt of the joke, not your viewers. No one in the audience. You can't just say, oh yeah, this guy here has red hair, ha ha ha, okay? Something like that. This is because people in the audience, even if they're your best friend and you're making a joke about your best friend, they're going to now look at it and say, oh, that speaker's kind of mean, because they don't know your relationship. Okay, so you just point someone out. But if you say something like, well, my wife, she did this, automatically saying that relationship, we're going to know that the relationship is closer versus pointing someone out in the audience. So if my wife was in the audience and I would say, oh yeah, she does this and this and this, viewers are going to say, oh wow, they're really mean to her. But if you say, oh, her, my wife, does this, 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 they're automatically going to be like, oh, okay, husband and wife picking on each other. Now, humorous quotes. This is actually quoting someone to use to make it funny. You have to be careful. Everyone has a different sense of humor. I have a friend, and he was the best man at my wedding. He can literally say anything he wants. So he could go up and literally tell someone, I hate you, go away, don't talk to me. And they're like, ha ha ha, you're so funny. How are you so funny? And he's like, looking at me, why are they laughing? I literally do not want to talk to them. And he can just say anything and make it seem like a joke. But my wife is not that type of person. If my wife looks at you and says, go away, I hate you, they're like, oh my gosh, she is scary, mean. Okay? But also my wife is the sweetest person in the world. So if she says that, and she's joking, a lot of people don't get it. But my friend can say the exact same thing and quote her, and then gets laughed. We all have different personalities, so be careful. If you're using a quote, make sure your personality is one that can actually deliver it. And then you want to make sure you test it out. I normally test out a lot of my jokes, and if I have a GIF up there about friends or something, and a lot of my class doesn't laugh, I might go over there and write, okay, this class does not understand Friends because they might not laugh, or The Office, and they might say, I've never seen that show, so I'm not going to make jokes about The Office or Friends because they've never seen it. So we've got to make it clear, make it interesting, and now make it memorable. So you want to build in redundancy. Make it clear, make it interesting, make it memorable. Hence why we've been doing that. That's also why you have an overview. Then you talk about your stuff and you have a review. That's building a redundancy. You want to use adult learning principles. These are items that they can use right away. When I say that, just think, when you're in class, a lot of times, especially growing up learning, you're there and they're dumping all this information out and you're expected to memorize it and know how to do it. But adults, they're not in school. They're not prepared to do that anymore because they're out of school, they're not there just to learn. So when you use adult learning principles, what you are doing is you are looking at it and you are going to be saying, okay, here's the idea, and this is the concept. Now, you can go and use it tomorrow or today. Teachers a lot of times do this. They go and they go to workshops, and then they say, here's some methods that you can use in your classroom this year. Not just learn this and you're going to use it one day. Okay? They can make connections right away with it. And then reinforce key points. I know that sounds a lot like building redundancy and reinforce key points, but hey, that's why we're saying it. You want to make sure you're redundant. Hence why you have your overview that goes main point 1, main point 2, main point 3. And then you actually talk about main point 1, main point 2, main point 3. And the review, you said, I just talked about main point 1, main point 2, main point 3. Okay? So, you want to make sure that your speech is clear, interesting, and memorable. And those are the 3 things that we went over. So make sure that you're using these methods. And when you're doing your informative speech, you're making it clear, interesting, and memorable. Now before we go, I have 2 main things that I want to talk to you about. With nonverbal signs, there's different ways to look confident. Okay, so if you were looking at something and you're noticing you're a shaker, Then a method that you can use is put your hands together just like this, okay? Now this actually makes you seem more confident and competent, okay? And then so your hands, if they shake like this, and they're just naturally shaking, and you put your hands together, they're still going to be shaking, but to the audience, since they're shaking each other, the vibrations are going to give it off, and you can't really see the shaking of the hands. So this really helps you if you're shaking, and this makes you look competent. Now, if you kind of like this, like a gun type thing, okay? So if you do something like this makes you seem a little more powerful. So when you're talking, you're saying, oh, this, and over here, and this, at the end you do this, that really helps. If you watch a lot of Apple videos, especially Steve Jobs, Apple people are trained how to use their hands. And if you watch them, a lot of times they're going to be saying, oh yes, our product is this, and does this, and does this, does this. You should buy one. They are trained to do that because this makes you look more powerful. And when you say you should buy them, they're being persuaded, yeah, that person's telling me what to do. Okay? And this makes them, yeah, they know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about. So just this helps with the shaking, but it also non-verbally, psychologically makes you look more competent, just to viewers. Okay? This just makes you look smarter. And this makes you look more powerful. Why? There's a lot of research that goes into it, so you can look that up. And then finally, there are some power poses that I want you to practice. So a power pose, you need to hold it for 2 minutes, but it actually opens your body up that you can actually be more confident. So a power pose would be something like the Wonder Woman, okay, and my feet are apart, I know you can't see it, but the Wonder Woman, okay, the Superman, again, my body's open. Okay, you can do one that is, okay, I don't have anything to lean on, but you can sit in a chair, and you can kick your hands back, and then kick your feet up like that. Yeah, that's a good ab workout, okay? So something like that, it's opening your body up, or you can even do like this, but your body has to open up and hold that pose and do not move for 2 minutes. And the way your blood flows, it actually flows a lot of blood to your brain cells, which actually gives you more confidence to do things, okay? So that's an idea, and that's a method that you can use to help you out if you ever get nervous. Again, for the power pose, you need to hold it for 2 minutes. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope this helps you with your informative speeches. Remember, those are due coming up soon. Other than that, email me if you have questions, and have a great week. Bye, guys.